Hi everybody, Kelly here. Thank you for your patience in getting this video out and our most recent episode of the podcast out. As many of you are probably aware, we had a horrific winter storm last week here in Texas that our infrastructure was just not built to handle temperatures like that and snow and ice. So we have been working over the past week to get life back up and running like normal. So our household is fine now. We've got everything pretty much back to normal, and that includes the podcast publishing timeline. So one of the crazy things that has happened this week is that while we had really freezing, deep freeze, cold temperatures last week, it's 79 degrees outside right now, which is 26 Celsius for those of you on Celsius. And it's actually planting season here in Southeast Texas. So one of the things that I have been working on this week to try to get us back up and running was to get our food gardens planted, because this is an important part of what we eat every year. And we were actually behind schedule because of the winter storm that came through. It put us behind schedule on our gardens. So this is why I am dressed so much more casually than I normally am in these videos, because this is one of the gardens. We have another one over there that I'm getting ready to fence as soon as I'm done with this video, to keep all the little bunnies and the deer out of it, because that food's for us, dang it. So anyway, so our topic for this episode and for this video is all about fixed versus growth mindsets. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about this over the past couple of weeks, and especially digging in the dirt and putting the little seeds in the dirt where they needed to go so they could grow like they're supposed to. A fixed mindset is one that is filled with beliefs around intelligence and skills and talents and abilities being something that you're born with. You're born with a certain level, and that's that. You may say things to yourself like, well, I'm just not an organized person, or I don't have a green thumb, or I am just naturally talented at that. And we sometimes will avoid situations where we risk breaking down that identity. We risk not wanting to fail because of that fixed idea that we have about ourselves. Now, a growth mindset looks at intelligence and skill and abilities and talents as something that can actually be grown and developed with time and patience and work and training. And that kind of mindset says, well, I may not have a green thumb naturally, but I'm going to learn how to grow a tomato anyway. Or I wasn't born a math person, but it doesn't mean that I can't figure out how to do some math that I need to be able to do for my work. So as I was digging in the dirt and as I was putting seeds where they needed to go, I had a thought around this. So if a seed sees itself as only a seed, and it's only ever going to be a seed, it will always be a seed. Even if a seed, and I have one right here, even if this seed is told, little seed, you have the ability to grow into a big productive squash plant. This is a squash seed. If this seed doesn't believe that that's a possibility, and this seed sees itself as, I am only a seed, it will always stay a seed. It's going to keep its little shell locked tight to protect it. It takes the seed being willing to let its shell crack, to be vulnerable, to be able to take in the nutrients from the soil and the water, and eventually the nutrients from the sun, to help it develop into something bigger than just being a seed. Now, letting its shell crack open means that it is no longer a whole seed, and that's risky, because it may rot. It may not grow like it's supposed to. It may not thrive. It may get eaten. Who knows? But if it doesn't risk that opportunity, if it doesn't take the chance, it's never going to have the experience of being a seedling. It's never going to have the experience of being a full-size plant that actually produces more squash with more seeds in it. It's not going to feel the sun. It's never going to feel rain falling on its leaves, and it's never going to have the opportunities that other seeds who are willing to break open are going to have. So we have lots of little seeds inside of us. We have lots of parts of our personalities and our identities that tie in with a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And we may be willing to grow in certain areas. We may be willing to let that seed crack open, but in other parts of our identities and in other parts of ourselves and what we believe we are capable of, we may keep that little seed locked as tight as we can. And we may say, that's just not who I am. That's not something that's available for me to be able to do. That's just not something that I could ever achieve. So in this episode of the podcast, we dig way, way deeper into this because I have actually had a really interesting couple of weeks that have caused me to have some epiphanies around growth mindset and fixed mindset in myself. And some things that I share in the podcast that have really been on my mind lately. So we're going to look at ways that we can start to identify where we might have some of these tightly held types of beliefs about ourselves, those fixed ideas about ourselves, and ways that we can start to let those crack open a little bit so that we can start to grow into something much bigger than maybe we ever thought we would be capable of doing. So the podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this video. And I'm going to go work on some fence before the sun goes down. So I will talk to you all soon, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.